Okay, so today we're diving into something really interesting. It's an Indian company with a mission well, it's pretty huge. They want to completely reshape agriculture as we know it. And they say they can do it with a single solution. Sounds a bit like magic, right? Well, let's dig in and see what this is all about. It all really comes down to this one big question. And it's a question that affects every single one of us, from the person tilling the soil to you sitting down for a meal. Can we make farming simpler, cheaper, and can we do it in a way that doesn't wreck the planet? That's the million-dollar question, right? And it's exactly what's driving the company we're talking about today. All right, first things first, let's talk about the problem. Section 1 is all about the modern farming challenge. And really, it boils down to the massive cost of growing our food. We're not just talking about money here, we're talking about the cost to our environment too. And this is a perfect picture of what a vicious cycle looks like. It all kicks off with the crazy high cost of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Farmers have to shell out more and more money, but those same chemicals can actually harm the soil. So what happens? The soil gets weaker, crops don't grow as well, and farmers feel pressured to, you guessed it, use even more chemicals just to get by. It's a downward spiral that hurts their wallets, pollutes our environment, and hey, it even puts our food security at risk. It's a really tough spot to be in. So you gotta ask, right? How do you break a cycle that's so entrenched? Well, that's where we get to Section 2, and the company we're focusing on, Drishti Biotech. They looked at all these tangled up problems and didn't see a dead end. They saw a chance to do something completely different. So Drishti Biotech started up back in 2008 in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. And listen, this wasn't just your typical tech startup with a fancy app. No, their mission was way bigger. They wanted to use real science to create solutions that were good for the planet and good for the farmer's bottom line. The goal? To put the power and the profit back where it belongs, with the farmers. And the way they do this is through what they call a farmer-centric philosophy. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds like a bunch of corporate buzzwords, but they seem to mean it. The idea is that everything they do, from the lab to the final product, is laser-focused on solving the real, practical problems that farmers deal with every single day out in the field. Okay, so a philosophy is great, but what does it actually look like? How does it become something a farmer can actually use? That's what Section 3 is all about. We're talking about the BioMagic solution. This is where all those big ideas get distilled down into one single product. And there it is, BioMagic Plus. This is their hero product, the one they've built their name on. And their claim is pretty bold. They're saying that this one bottle can tackle a whole bunch of those huge, complicated problems we were just talking about. Their tagline really says it all, doesn't it? One product, many benefits. That's the core of their entire pitch. The whole idea is to take a cluttered, complicated process and make it incredibly simple. So what's the big deal? What does it claim to do? Well, get this. They say BioMagic is a 100% natural, all-in-one solution that can replace 5 different things a farmer would normally have to buy. It's supposed to be a fertilizer, an insecticide, a fungicide, a nematicide, that's for killing those tiny destructive worms in the soil, and a plant growth regulator. To have all of that in one bottle, that's a massive claim. Okay, so when you make a claim that big, you've got to back it up, right? So let's move on to Section 4 and look at the results. What does this stuff actually do in the real world? For the soil, for the crops, and yeah, for the farmer's bank account. Let's start with a number that'll make you sit up straight. 35%. More than 35%, actually. That's how much one onion farmer said he cut his expenses by after using BioMagic. He said it didn't just make his onions better, it saved him a huge chunk of change. That's not small. And it's not a one-off story. We hear something similar from a potato farmer, Harish Bhai Chaudhary. He basically says, yeah, it's a great alternative to all those separate chemicals. But he points out something really important. The savings aren't just about buying fewer products. Think about it. You're also saving a ton of time and labor because you're not applying 5 different things. That's a huge deal. So the company makes it pretty clear how they see their products stacking up against the competition. You can see it here. They're positioning BioMagic as a long-term, all-in-one solution. A lot of synthetic products, they give you a quick fix for one specific problem. But the idea here is that a natural approach works on the entire system, the soil, the plant, everything, for benefits that last season after season. And what this creates is this amazing positive feedback loop. It's like a good domino effect. First, it makes the soil healthier by encouraging all the good microbes to thrive. Healthier soil means stronger plants that can naturally fight off pests. Stronger plants can also soak up nutrients better. And the cherry on top, since it's all natural, you get less chemical runoff, which means cleaner food and water for everyone. It's a cycle that builds things up instead of tearing them down.
But, this whole thing is about more than just a single bottle of product. In our last section here, we're going to zoom out and see how BioMagic is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle, a vision for the future of farming in India.
So see, BioMagic isn't the end goal. It's a tool in a much bigger plan they call the Drishti Farm to Fork project. The idea here is to build an entire ecosystem around the farmer. They help them team up, connect them directly to people who want to buy their crops, and guide them toward more sustainable ways of farming. And their strategy for growing the business is pretty smart. It's all about creating a win-win situation. For the farmers, it's a no-brainer. You get better crops for less money, and your land stays healthy. For the dealers selling the product, they get good profits, plenty of support, and a product that starts to sell itself once word gets around about how well it works. Those success stories are powerful. And in the end, it all circles right back to where they started. Every single piece of this, the product, the support network, the business plan, it's all designed to do one thing: turn traditional farming into a business that's profitable, sustainable, and ready for the future.
So that leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? You've got an all-in-one, natural product, a vision that puts farmers first. It all sounds amazing on paper. But is this really the answer? Is this the key that could unlock a better, more profitable, and more sustainable future for millions of farmers, not just in India, but maybe even around the world? That's the real test.